What have you been working towards or working through since September 2024? This week on August 28th, we have our final partial lunar eclipse in Pisces. This cycle started back around September 17th, 18th of 2024. That's when we had our first partial lunar eclipse in Pisces. Since then, about every 5 or 6 months, we have had either a lunar or solar eclipse in Pisces or Virgo. Pisces and Virgo is the balancing of the physical and the mental. It is balancing intuition versus logic. It's balancing our heart and our mind, escapism versus reality. It's really a matter of anchoring those parts of ourselves into our everyday life and no longer seeing our spirituality or our fantasies or our imagination as something totally different than our everyday life. How can we incorporate our desires, our wants, our dreams, our wishes into our everyday life to make them a reality? That is what we all have been working through for the last 2 years, and it has been very intense. This past weekend on August 21st, we also had Venus and Libra directly opposite Saturn in Aries. But with Venus and Libra opposite, it's really asking you again to look at the balance in your life when it comes to relationships and money, financial commitments. Where are you overgiving and where are you not receiving enough? Are you taking and not giving? That balance in relationships will show up in our lives financially. If you are an overgiver and you're constantly pouring into the people around you, but you're not allowing yourself to receive love and abundance, your bank account will reflect that. Right now is a really good time to take stock of where are you giving too much or where are you taking too much and bringing that back into balance in your own life. How this is showing up for you is obviously going to be very different depending on your rising sign. For Pisces and Virgo rising, the axis is falling on your first and seventh houses. This is really asking you to look at how you feel about yourself internally. What is your relationship like with yourself? And is that being reflected in the relationships in your life? How we feel about ourselves will show up in the relationships in our life. So if you have been working on healing your self-identity, your external relationships need to change. They need to grow and evolve too, or there's going to be a cause for separation. So now is a time to really look at your relationships and ask, do these relationships reflect who I am now and how I feel about myself now, or do they reflect who I used to be? And is that no longer in alignment with me? That's going to be for both Pisces and Virgo risings. For Aries and Libra risings, this is happening in both your 6th and your 12th house. This is really asking you to balance your spirituality, balance your curiosity and your time of rest and thinking with your everyday life. You are no longer going to be able to push just to try to get what you want. How can you balance your everyday life with being more curious? Can you be more flexible? Can you ask for room to have time to meditate, to have time to think outside the box? For Taurus and Scorpio risings, this is happening in your 5th and your 11th house axis. This is about balancing your I versus we and becoming radically authentic in your own childlike creative self and no longer caring if that really fits in with your community and your immediate friend group. The ask here is, can you show up authentically and can the community and the friends you are around accept it? And if not, it's time to change community and friendship circles. For Gemini and Sag risings, this is happening within your 4th and your 10th house. This is really asking you to balance home and work life. Where are you giving too much to either side? And does your home life provide a firm foundation for you to show up in your career and in your public life? If it doesn't, it is time to reevaluate. For Cancer and Cap risings, this is happening in your 3rd and your 9th house. This is asking you to take your information and turn it into wisdom, not just locally within your friend groups, within your community, but really broadcast all of the wisdom and the information you have learned over these last 2 years and share it on a more broad scale, whether that's online, the internet, globally, what have you, but it's really about magnifying your voice and trusting your intuition, trusting the higher knowledge that you've gained over the last 2 years. For Leo and Aqua risings, this is happening in your 8th and your 2nd house. This is balancing that energetic exchange that you have with the world and with other people? Are you, again, overgiving, or are you taking too much? Is there a balance in your intimate relationships, in your sexual relationships, in your finances? All of that is coming to be looked at right now. Again, we are never asked to pick our higher selves versus our lower selves. We have always been asked to incorporate the two, and we all have both. We have a light and a dark side. There is always polarity within ourselves and within our relationships. But can you look at yourself and your life and your relationships and see the patterns and see where you need to grow, change, and evolve? The last 2 years, we have really been asked to look at all of these different ways that we shut off our intuition, we shut off our spirituality side just so we can fit in, just so we can follow what's always been done. We no longer want to follow what's always been done. We want to carve out our own path. The only way to do that is to get self-centered, to establish that connection with yourself and God and hear what He is calling you to do and trusting that. There are so many things in our life that are outside of our control. That's why we have to surrender to what life is bringing us to. We will always have an opportunity to grow and work through things. But if we continue to stick our heads in the sand and pretend that this other reality, this other way of living doesn't exist, we'll never get anywhere. This week is a big week for relationships. If you've been holding on to relationships that you know in your soul do not fit who you are now and where you are meant to grow, it is time to let those go. Feel the pain. I know, I've been there. I've had my hopes up. I've had faith that certain things will work out. But along our journey, things change. And sometimes we meet somebody or we have this vision and we think that's it. But those visions and those people that we meet sometimes are just catalysts to help move us along. And if you are seeing that very obvious right now of saying, okay, I know that these relationships were just catalysts to help me grow and help me learn and help me evolve, but they are not here to help me grow, it's time to say goodbye. It's time to let go. And that relationship is not always just with other people. It could be the relationship that you have with yourself. Are you continuing to shame, guilt, and instill fear into yourself as a motivator? Or are you now holding yourself with love, kindness, and compassion? We are being asked to continue to hold ourselves and other people with love, kindness, and compassion, but have boundaries with ourselves and with other people. Discipline isn't always a matter of getting up early in the morning and going to the gym. Discipline is a matter of honing in your mind, your thoughts, your behaviors that are continuously causing you to negate yourself, negate your intuition, or self-sabotage. I heard something that said, if you're always used to solving problems, you'll create problems to solve. And man, that hit like home to me. I am used to having problems to solve, so subconsciously I have created problems so I can continue to solve them. That story is one that I am letting go of, and I can fully trust myself and allow myself to grow and evolve into the newest version of me. There will never be a time that I stop growing and evolving, but accepting that the old me is no longer here. I can love her. I can thank her for getting me through those hard times, but I am a different person, and I am thankful for that. I am thankful for all of what I've gone through to help get me to where I am. So this week, I ask you to really get into yourself. Silence your thoughts. Find times to meditate. Find times to be outside and just ground yourself. You no longer have to live two separate lives, one in your mind, one in your heart, and then this reality that you're performing for. You don't have to perform for love and approval. The right people are going to love you just as you are. So stop performing and just be you.